Welcome to the Music Reel. I'm your host, Nicola Burton. Today, I am so happy that I'm going to be speaking to Australian music theatre star Will Centurion. Now, Will has been in a number of Australian touring productions, so I'm going to try and get this right, Will. So, The King and I, The Lion King, Aladdin, West Side Story, Chorus Line, and my favourite, In the Heights. Did I miss it out? Is that everything?
They're my Australian credits. I was lucky enough to work abroad in Europe as well. So I did a European tour of Saturday Night Fever, and I got to do Aida and We Will Rock You as well.
Wow. Well, Will is also a very important ambassador with Entertainment Assist. You do incredible work with people in arts industry. So Will Centurion, thank you so much for talking to me today. How are you going?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Look, I'm really keen to hear how you're going. So number one, let's start with where you are. You're in Melbourne and you're in your 900th week of lockdown. Is that correct?
Pretty much, yeah.
Doesn't it?
It's been an ongoing thing. You know, I guess we do the best that we can in this sort of situation, and we try to hang on to hope, and keep some kind of purpose and creativity about ourselves. Mm-hmm. But it's a roller coaster ride. So lots of highs and lows.
Yeah, well, I'm keen to hear all about that as we go along, because I think there's so many performing artists in Melbourne that were supposed to be doing productions and, are facing probably another year of not getting any sort of significant, meaningful income. So I want to talk to you about that. But first of all, let's start with you. You retired from performing, and then you've gone on and you've studied with the Australian College of Applied Psychology, right?
Yeah, correct.
How did you get from performing to psychology? I mean, that's quite a step. Can you talk me through how that happened?
Yep. So after 20 years of music theatre and travelling the world and whatnot, I hung up my shoes after taking my last bow at the Sydney Opera House and In the Heights, and I transitioned to working in mental health. So while I was doing Lion King and Aladdin, I was also at uni. So I was at the Australian College of Applied Psychology. I was studying a Bachelor in Counselling and Coaching. So it was a pretty smooth transition. I knew In the Heights was going to be my last show. I was prepared for what was going to happen next. And of course it was emotional, saying goodbye to a relationship that you've had for 20 years is pretty challenging. But I've embraced working in the mental health industry wholeheartedly. I'm very passionate about the work that I do. I run my own mental health service here in Melbourne. I focus on working with actors, singers and dancers and performing arts youth. I go into a lot of training institutions and create programs and initiatives there. So I kind of still get my attachment to the industry. I still get to do a performance of sorts. And, I guess I still get to stretch my creative muscles. So I'm still home.
I love your website. I looked at, so you've got the 3 programs I saw, and you've probably got more, but I really like this: Rewire, Repair and Reboot, right? Now, for me, I've been in the industry my entire life, and I think that is probably one of the most intelligent way that you set it out, because in order to repair, you can't do that until you can actually dig in and go, okay, how did I get here? What's my conditioning? What's my programming? Yep. So I'd love for you to perhaps introduce us to that, because, there's a wide network of artists all across the country, all over the world, who are just scratching their head going, well, what am I going to do now? I mean, how am I going to get through this? And I guess the mental health challenges that we face as an industry, I mean, everybody else as well, but in particular, there's some unique reasons why performers, struggle. So can you take us through Rewire, Repair and Reboot, and just talk a little bit about how that can perhaps help people to get through this experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So I created that model, as you said, sort of as a pathway. So one workshop leads to the other. Basically what I was doing is filling in the blanks to things that I wish had been available for me as an emerging professional and as a practicing professional. So Rewire is very much about looking at your thoughts and your feelings, challenging your beliefs, challenging your attitudes. I guess, reauthoring some of these stories that we hold on to and that we define ourselves by. So it gives you the opportunity to, I guess, claim your power back and to catch the inner critic and just shift some of those beliefs that no longer serve you and no longer serve where you want to end up. Repair, is very much about self-care. We don't get taught a lot of self-care practices, and I think it goes hand in hand with productivity. Self-care is super important. It's like the foundation of being your best. So repair is very much about giving you some practical solutions, some practical habits and practices that you can use, making things achievable, like self-care practices achievable and sustainable, because otherwise what's the point if you're not going to enjoy it, and if you're not going to hold on to it, and if you're not going to keep doing it. And repair, I guess, is also to prepare you and allow you to recover from challenges, so even injuries and things like that, which is something that we all go through in our industry. And reboot is almost like a recharge, reconnecting you to your passion, reconnecting you to your purpose, more importantly, reconnecting you to your why. We forget our why as artists. We end up leaning into a lot of junk values like fame and instant gratification and, money and all of that sort of stuff. And reboot is just to reconnect you to why you started your creative journey in the first place. What values can you use or lean into as you move on to your creative journey, and setting yourself some goals that you can achieve and you can feel good about and can inspire you and propel you forward. So that's pretty much it.
Oh, look, it sounds great. And like, you're quite busy, aren't you? You're working over Zoom at the moment. You've been working all the way through the lockdown?
I since probably about March, my business just boomed in terms of workshops and seminars and guest speaking and face-to-face counseling and coaching. So I've probably hit burnout a couple of times.
Okay.
So, practice what you preach, Will.
Yeah. Look after your self-care, Will, because you can't do what you need to do. So you've actually boomed as a result of the... Now, isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We're all having a different experience of this.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to remember that we're not all in the same boat.
Yeah.
It is unfortunate for some, and it is challenging for some, but it's also a place of growth. It's also an opportunity to discover. It's also an opportunity to, reshuffle your ideas and who you are and what you want to become. So personally, for me, this kind of just exploded since March, and there's suddenly a real demand for mental health that is tailored to creative people. So I've been very, very fortunate to continue working throughout this entire experience. It's
really good to hear, because I believe, and from all the people I've been speaking to, that this is an opportunity. So what we're going through right now, obviously, in any situation, no industry works 100% perfectly, does it? And it's like, we've really got the opportunity to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, what can we do differently? What can we do better? And I think, as you said, mental health is such an important part of our industry, because if this isn't right, nothing else works. You can't sing, you can't dance, nothing works. So from your experience over the last few months working with so many people, are there any patterns that have emerged in terms of how people are feeling in relation to not being able to work?
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of grief and loss. In my one-on-one sessions and in my seminars and workshops, I've addressed grief and loss as being a really common theme. Like, again, it's you build a relationship to this career that you have, or you build a relationship to the community that you're a part of and the people that you work with and the art that you do. And so when that's pulled out from underneath you, it's incredibly challenging. There's so much pain there. So I guess labeling and identifying and managing that pain has been a really common thing for a lot of people. Just that disconnection to their identity, not knowing who they are now, not knowing what kind of purpose they serve or what their goals are. So disconnection's been a massive one. People have been disconnected to community, to hope, to future, to structure, to goals, to confidence. We're going back to some human issues now, and to human vulnerability. And so that's what I've been doing a lot of work around. And it's been painful to sit and watch. I've seen a lot of suffering in this time. but I've also seen a lot of hope, and I've seen a lot of innovation.
Yeah.
And that's been really encouraging and really motivating.
I love what you've just said there, because identity seems to be, with the artists that we're working with, that's been the number one challenge. It's like, who am I now if I can't go out and perform? And someone said the other day, it's like you're shedding a snakeskin, and it's almost exciting because you don't know what it's going to look like. And all of this uncertainty, if you could sort of pivot it on its head and create this unexpected opportunity, it's kind of like a really cool thing. You get that, you know, that excitement you feel when you, just before you start going on stage, that it's almost like that. What are your thoughts on how to sort of harness this energy?
I think the biggest thing is that if you're spending this time hoping for everything to go back to normal, then you've missed the point. You've missed the whole point of what you could be doing with this time, and time is precious. So it's really important to think outside of the box. It's really important to put your creative hat on, because that's who you are. That's who we are. We are creative people. Nobody can take that away from us. Nothing can take that away from us. It requires nobody's permission to be a creative person. So this is a time for us all to be creative, to think out of the box. What more could we be doing? What are we not thinking of? What resources are we not tapping into? What ideas had we considered and then shelved that we can bring back out again? I guess, like, what collaborative projects can we work on that we would not have because we were too consumed in our singular careers? So this really is a time of growth and opportunity. And I think if you use it wisely, then you are prepping to just come running out of the gates when the gates open, rather than, I guess, waddling out, hoping for the best. And so it's such a valuable time, and it really should be used. It really, really should be used.
That's actually segued into my next question, because I was curious to hear what your vision is, but it sounds like as creatives, we can create something so new. And we don't really know what that is, but it's really based on our own ability to create. So I guess I'd like to hear what your vision is.
I think this industry can be anything we want it to be. We as creative people can be anything we want to be. We're limited by what things should look like, and we're limited by what works in other people's eyes, or these kind of stories or these discourses that get created of what a successful career looks like, or a successful performance or script or song or whatnot. So let's shake those shackles, and let's just let yourself be childlike and play and be curious and explore and experiment and see what comes of that. Yes, there's been damage to our industry. Of course there has. Yes, there's a lot of pain as a result of that. But what comes next is anybody's guess. Actually, in fact, what comes next is what we decide it to be. And so it's up to us to reshape the industry, and it's up to us to, set the stepping stones of what we want, the next 20 years to look like.
I think it would be impossible for anyone watching you speak today to feel depressed or dark. They're going to be feeling like, we can do this, we can totally do this. So if anyone wants to work with you, Will, how do they go about, are you open to working with people?
Yep.
How do they go about contacting you?
So you can go directly to my website, which is www.mrwillcenturion.com. You can contact me on Instagram or Facebook. My socials, I'm quite present on my social media. So feel free to direct mail me or a direct message or whatnot. I get a lot of training institutions reaching out to me so I can speak to students, and so I can integrate some of these workshops with emerging professionals. I love one-on-ones. There's nothing more rewarding for me than just to get to sit in a space with a person and have them be seen and be heard and felt understood. Please feel free to reach out for counseling or life coaching. I do some group coaching as well, and I do some group seminars. I'm actually about to launch a goal setting booster session at the end of this month, and then I'll launch a 4-week goal setting workshop over October, so that you come with a goal that you want to work on, and by the time we finish at the end of October, you're off and running. So yeah, you know, for anyone who needs support, for anyone who would love to engage in conversation, please feel free to reach out.
I'll put all your contact details in. Will, it was so great to hear your perspective, because I think that's very positive, it's very uplifting, and it's like you're putting a light at the end of the tunnel for people. And in this day and age, in this industry, thank you so much. That is just wonderful. And I've loved talking to you and hearing what you're doing. So I will stay in touch, because I'm curious to hear how you go in the next couple of years. I think you're going to be a very busy man.
I hope so. I hope so. And I'll continue to work towards it. But thank you for this opportunity. It's always wonderful to connect with new people, and it's because of platforms like this that I have a voice. So I'm very, very grateful.
No, that's wonderful. Will Centurion, thank you so much, and I will see you next time. And take care on your 900th week. Look
after yourself too. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.